Spoilers. The best part of the trailer is the best part of this movie. Beastie Boys saving the day. Yeah.
So we just got out of Star Trek Beyond.
And yeah, it's pretty good.
Not bad, I gotta say. It's about as good, in my opinion, it's about as good as the other J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies, even though this technically wasn't directed by J.J. Abrams.
This one was directed by the guy who made Furious 7, if you couldn't tell by the trailers where they directly told you.
Okay, I should make clear, I have not seen, I think, a single episode of the original Star Trek TV show.
Neither have I.
But I've seen a lot of the movies. Majority of the movies, I think.
That's where I get my knowledge from, too. I've only seen 2 of the Shatner Star Treks, number 2 and number 5, actually. So the best and the worst. And I've also seen First Contact and Nemesis.
Yeah, and I love Wrath of Khan. Honestly, I'd say that's one of the best sci-fi movies ever made.
Oh, Wrath of Khan is great.
I have seen a few episodes of The Next Generation, and Captain Picard is fucking awesome.
It's only because he's played by Patrick Stewart.
No, it's not. He is...
No, but that's a compliment, though. The guy is amazing.
He is amazing, but, I mean, it's not just the actor. It's also, he's written it... Honestly... I could just watch a single episode of it starring Captain Picard, and I'd be like, this is why people love Star Trek.
But enough of that.
Yep.
Although it might be fair to talk about just this trilogy so far.
Yeah.
Personally, I think the first Star Trek, the remake one, I think it's incredibly underrated. Mostly because I thought it did an amazing job with recreating this series, which is iconic, with almost any sci-fi follower, pretty much, because it's been ingrained in almost all of pop culture as well. J.J. Abrams did bring a lot of energy into it, and he brought a lot of relativity into it as well, with being able to still tell a good story, set up the atmosphere and characters without having it be cheap Hollywood and rushed out Hollywood remake. And yeah, people loved it. I love it too, but personally, I don't think it gets enough praise as it is. But luckily, they've been able to keep it continuously going, unlike the other franchises where it was hit and miss with the string of the movies. With this one, they've been consistently good. And yeah, this one is still... it's getting better praise and better reviews than the second one, Into Darkness, which I see as kind of surprising because Into Darkness has the iconic Khan back, and again, I haven't seen it, but I just keep on hearing about the cop-out ending with Jim. And luckily, this doesn't have any of that. But luckily, both a bad and good is that this is by the numbers. This movie is, at least I saw as by the numbers.
It's simple, but it doesn't feel generic and cheap. It's straightforward. It sticks to its strengths. And okay, honestly, even though this isn't directed by J.J. Abrams, it does feel a lot like his movie still, only because J.J. Abrams to me is the kind of director that feels like the basically just crossing the finish line kind of college student, where a teacher will get the professor will give him an essay. It's like, I want 500 to 800 words, and he'll only do 500, like on the dot. His movies are decent. His movies are fun. They're entertaining, but he doesn't want to go far beyond that. It's almost like he refuses to do that out of fear of saying, well, I'm just not good enough, so I'm just going to do the bare minimum to pass, and then I'm just gonna quit there. And that's kind of like what the Star Trek movies are like, and what The Force Awakens was like. I don't want to get into a huge debate on that movie right now, but I will say most of his movies are just they don't do the respective franchise justice. But they are still reasonably good movies.
They're still really good, and they're a lot of fun.
I wouldn't say really good, but I'll say they're pretty good.
I still think they're really good. And luckily this movie, screw Marvel, I don't think they're the most fun movies ever. Kill me if you want, but I think
pretty sure they'd want to kill me first before they'd kill you.
I don't care. I'm getting sick of Marvel, and they aren't as fun as everyone says they are. This is way more fun.
You want something? I've been saying that for years. Mister. Where are my hipster glasses, okay? Before it was cool to hate Marvel.
Here, you need these?
These ain't hipster glasses, but deal with it.
No, but yeah, this movie pretty much provided the summer fun for this summer, because nothing else is actually like this summer, at least, has been actual, like, just quality popcorn fun. Even though, again, very simple. The storyline being that the Enterprise is thrown into a predicament to...
Yeah, the first part of this movie, okay, the first 10 minutes of this movie, I will say, is awful. It reminds me of Guardians of the Galaxy in the worst possible way.
Yeah, his dad came with us to see it, and both of them pointed that out right away.
We'll almost have a tangent talking about my dad's thought on this movie, because he saw this with us, and oh boy, did he have a miserable time. But yeah, so the movie starts off kind of silly, almost stupid, but then when it gets going, it really does get going. It's like they get attacked by this unidentified alien species with this like bee swarm kind of.
They literally call them bees.
Yeah.
It's instead of and personally, I think a great idea. Instead of one gigantic, like, big ship, it's an entire swarm of tiny little ships that can attack multiple points of a ship, and the Enterprise is taken down on this one planet, and the reason for it is their head is trying to retrieve an artifact that the Enterprise has in its possession in order to create an ultimate weapon. So, yeah, that feels like the only kind of generic part, and maybe the villain. We'll get to that later. So, the Enterprise crashes, and it's a search and a race to get the Enterprise crew back together, figure out the plan of this madman, and to be able to stop him.
Yep. That's it. That's all you need.
But then again,
they get split up. You get Spock with Bones. You get Chekhov with
Kirk.
Sorry. And then
Scotty's on his own, who runs into one of the poster children for this movie.
Yep, white, like black striped alien lady.
Jayla.
Yep.
Which I don't see, but I can absolutely see that name being a common name in the future.
Yep.
For humans. And Uhura and Sulu are stuck with the crew, who most of them aren't killed. They're captured and taken back to this base as pretty much feeding for the main villain. And okay, getting this out of the way, the villain is one of the weakest parts of this movie. The villain is really, really boring.
Yeah, without getting into spoiler territory, his, like, reveal of who he actually is not only raises a lot of unanswered questions, but it also is a little bit overly dramatic. And not saying it couldn't work, but the way they approach it is just, to me, just almost stupid.
And it's replaying villain motivation that has been used for the past 20 years. The system screwed me over. That's essentially, the system screwed me over and I want revenge.
That and there's something else too, this. God, I don't know how to explain it without avoiding spoilers, but it tries to be philosophical, but it doesn't work.
They try and explain it way more complicated than it actually has to be. And he's one of the low points, but
the most philosophy we get in this entire Star Trek movie, and this might turn a lot of hardcore fans off, but the most philosophical thing they have in this thing, besides Spock saying fear of death is illogical, and Bones saying
fear of death is what keeps us alive.
Yeah, the only other,
which they hammer to death in the trailer.
Which the only other philosophical thing they say, we're trying to save you from yourselves. That's it.
And it doesn't even make sense.
And no, it does not make sense. But whatever. It doesn't have to be uber science fiction, Jules Verne type stuff. It can work with, it's simple. There could be beauty in simplicity.
Exactly, and that's what I've been saying for a while. Simplicity can be great.
You just want to avoid being stupid simple.
Yes. Simple enough where you can actually have creative elements towards it. And luckily this uses it pretty well. Mostly, well, his dad hated most of the characters because they were caricatures of the TV show, but then again, I'm not basing off of the TV show. I'm basing off of this individual trilogy and seeing these characters grow. And I still love all of them. I love Chris Pine as Kirk. I think he's great. Quinto as Spock is still, at least I still view as pretty good. Nobody can touch Leonard Nimoy, and tearjerker after the credits.
Oh yeah. In memory of Leonard Nimoy.
For Anton.
Which was sad because I thought he was a pretty solid Chekhov.
And he was
I'm saying that genuinely. Like I think him and Simon Pegg should have had their own spin-off series because they were both.
Only because you want to get with Simon Pegg. He is obsessed with him.
Okay, Simon Pegg and like Jeremy Renner are like my bromance actors. Okay,
them and Leo.
I can't forget Leo. I love Leo too. But those guys, they're just the best. Oh man, but
Pegg is really good in this, and he co-wrote this, which doesn't surprise me that much. He dabbles in a lot of other screenwriting, but this one, he does have a touch in it, but only, I think, for dialogue stuff. The story, he probably could have come up with something a little bit more narratively creative. But yeah, for what it's worth, he did his part very well. My only complaint is that he's a lassie too much. Like, trying to hammer in that, all Scots sound like this. We all say lassie. Lassie, come home.
Oh, still, he's great. The comedy, though, I will say the comedy in this is a bit of a mixed bag. I mentioned before the opening had... Oh, shit. Please excuse me.
Anyway, the opening entails the Enterprise pretty much just trying to pass off the artifact that they have, and honestly, yeah, the opening is pretty boring, and it comes out of nowhere, and the only joke about it is pretty much that the people that Kirk is addressing, they look huge and CG, but when they come rolling down and actually face him, they're tiny. It's not really that funny because it does come out of nowhere without context, and again, comedy usually only works with context. And it ends up going nowhere, only to establish the artifact that they have and the purpose of having it or whatever. But there are a few other pretty funny moments in this. Mostly both good and bad from some of the dialogue. And like we've said in other previous videos, banter is not funny. And they do banter in this. But I didn't view, at least that's what Chris's dad said. And really, I didn't view them bantering to be that annoying. Really, it was their fast talking and their quick a lot of the reactions that they have in this are incredibly quick. Like Spock being able to react quickly with his comebacks. Some of them work, some of them don't, but then again, the ones that work do actually work really well. But the best joke does revolve around Spock. So there's a point in the early part of the movie where, yes, it is referencing real life where Leonard Nimoy passed away, and Ambassador Spock, I just called him Future Spock. Yeah, he passes away. Current Spock is notified of it, and he's debating on leaving Starfleet in order to be able to recreate planet Vulcan. And this led to a disagreement between him and Uhura, and so them breaking up. But again, well, this is a long-term joke, but it has a great punchline. And it involves Spock, and it actually contributes to the story. Spock leading the survivors to track the group of people via something that he gave to Uhura. Hopefully that doesn't give up that joke, but yeah, it actually did get a really good laugh from the crowd, and it actually did provide a little bit of silver lining for some of the depressive moments in this. But yeah, comedy was okay. It wasn't stupid and hammered in like a bad remake or a bad sequel could possibly have. And the action in this was actually pretty fun. Yeah, he's not here right now, but oh my goodness. The effects in this looked actually really impressive, and again, this is from the guy who did Furious 7, and knowing that beforehand, I thought, well, me and Chris's dad were joking around, oh, so there would be a giant car chase, skyscrapers that have shit flying out of them, or CGI remakes of dead actors, which, thank God they didn't need to do that, or have to do that for Anton Yelchin, again, rest his soul. But yeah, the fight scenes, and actually, the fight scenes as a whole are really awesome. And again, contributing back to the simple idea, again, simplicity does work really well. The simple idea of having these tiny ships, these bees, be able to break in and be able to infiltrate multiple points of a ship and be able to take it down that much quicker and easier. But, okay, so everybody complains from JJ's work on the first two, everybody complains, and when I say everybody, I mean everybody, constantly complaining about lens flares. So what? That's fine. At least it's not as bad as shaky cam. Yeah, there's shaky cam in this. That's the downside to the action. How you doing, man?
All right.
I did explain a decent amount of the comedy, and some of it working, some of it not. And now I'm just getting to the action and saying that the visual effects in this actually did look pretty good. But one big thing that everybody complained about with the filmmaking, or at least some of the action from JJ in the first two, were lens flares. Everybody was complaining, oh, you can't see anything with the brightness or whatever. Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
At least it's not as bad as shaky cam.
Well, there is shaky cam in this, yeah.
Oh, the shaky cam in this did get annoying at some points, but it was only when they were like running around doing gunfights inside the ship.
Yeah.
Other than that, the way that the ships look, the base that they have in Yorktown or whatever.
I kept thinking they say your town as in like your hometown or something. It's like, that's not where he was born.
It's your town. It's your town. It's my town. It's our town. But yeah, the base that they have is actually pretty creative because it doesn't use like one set gravity. And it's pretty much just an enclosed space station, but it does look really cool. Like the buildings that they have, the landscapes, the different angles. But then that's also another downside, along with the shaky cam, which did get annoying, but was not in the entire thing like fucking Zack Snyder would do. The camera just constantly turns, and it sort of made me feel a little bit motion sick when I was watching it. But sometimes it does work, but then again, at other times when it's just trying to reorient you, it makes it feel, for those of you who live in Minnesota and went to the old Camp Snoopy and Mall of America, this feels like it should be a Mystery Mine ride, where you're sitting in a chair, in a mechanical chair, and it shakes you around to try and orient you with what's showing on the screen. That would have been perfect for this. You alright?
Yeah, I'm fine. Sorry, okay. I just had really, really bad stomach cramps.
Okay. Hey, we all get those once in a while.
Okay.
But that's something that could have ruined this movie if they tried to incur that into the comedy.
Yeah. Okay. I figure before we cut out, I do think now isn't a good time to mention my dad's reaction to this film. He hated this movie. Or, well, actually,
he said he had a good time.
Okay, but he hates what they did with the characters, and he hated the comedy. The first 5 minutes of this movie, he leans over to me and says, "I want a refund."
But that's only after the Guardians opening.
Yeah. And then there's certain points of the movie where the audience is just roaring with laughter over, I will admit, sometimes really stupid jokes.
Sheep.
And he's like, if I pull the pin and threw it up, do you think I'd get everyone?
Damn. Yes, some of the audience was a little annoying, but they weren't enough for me to be distracted by distracted from the action that's happening on the screen, distracted from people just in general talking. Although the one audience member who clapped with me during one of the two climax moments, I was like, yes, thank you, sir. You, like me, are recognizing greatness. But yeah, simplicity works with a great benefit in this because for me, the characters are just still simple continuations from the previous two movies.
They may have been dumbed down. I will happily admit that, but they're not bad. They're enjoyable.
You still want to see them survive through this because you do know who they are, and you know their qualities and characteristics.
Right.
Which luckily the first one did incredibly well at establishing them, and luckily this doesn't need to constantly go back and waste time. That's another thing. It didn't need to waste time in order to painstakingly describe everybody. The only person who gets a little extra backstory is Kirk, only recognizing like his possible depression with the strenuous work that he has as captain and having to constantly be away from home, somewhat being alone on a ship, just constantly working. And that's where the sort of philosophy of fighting for life is played into. And
ultimately, for me, if you enjoyed the other J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't enjoy this.
This one, I thought this one was great.
This one, like I said, about as good as the other ones. I really didn't have a whole lot against the other ones. They were decent movies. I really can't speak for the hardcore fans that are like, well, this doesn't get Star Wars or whatnot, but you know, just looking at it from a casual standpoint, it's a fun movie, and I think it's worth checking out. Worth checking out, certainly over Ghostbusters.
But unfortunately, this summer has been pretty bad, and I can safely say that this is the best one that I've viewed throughout this entire summer. And some of you might be saying, oh, but you haven't seen the only other, like, big release that got praise was Finding Dory. So, yeah. And I'm not the biggest Finding Nemo fan. So this one beats that out already. Oh yeah, and I didn't see Civil War. Marvel is getting old. Screw it. Although, Suicide Squad, 2 weeks away.
Yep, that looks fun.
So can we get into spoilers?
If you want to, I'm gonna turn out here. I'm done. You guys got my recommendation. So,
Beastie Boys plays in this.
The climax of this, or like the major like resolution, I guess, is very similar to that of Mars Attacks, in that they play the right song that causes the aliens' heads to explode. In this one, they play the right song that causes all the ships to explode.
It jams their radio frequency so that they can't talk to one another, and they're able to breeze through and destroy most of them.
I don't see how that should make the ships explode on contact, but okay.
Don't care, they play fucking Sabotage! Oh, I lost my shit during that. Mostly because, well, obviously I love the song. Personally, I think it's the best Beastie Boys song, aside from You Gotta Fight for Your Right to Party. And it perfectly fit because they used that in the first Star Trek. They used that song in the first Star Trek movie when they were showing Kirk as a young boy stealing his family's car. That's the song that was playing while he was driving around in that convertible before it fell off a fucking cliff. So yeah, them bringing that song back was fucking awesome. And yeah, the action that it shows when the song is playing is actually awesome. But the only bad part is it was only like part 3 or 4 of a 5-part climax. Yeah, this has a few too many climaxes. The opening, well, not opening action scene, but the first action scene where they first encounter the bees, they play it off way too much like the end of a movie. They play the sad music when everyone's escaping.
I like it. I like that.
I thought it was ill-fitting.
I think starting off where a movie normally ends is good, because then you can see a lot more from there on out.
But to me, I thought the big grandeur of this major event happening was much more fitting for the end of a movie. And the ending of this is a little bit like a wet fart finish. It's pretty much just where the guy is trying to import this doomsday device, and he gets sucked into space. And it's a gravity defying whatever action show. It was a little bit eh. Oh yeah, and the villain in this, former Starfleet.
Yeah. They screwed him over, apparently. And he used to be a soldier. And all throughout the movie, he's talking about, I was born into hatred. And it's kind of ripping off Nemesis because of the person being
Raised
nature versus
from
nurture.
terror. Yep.
It's
the villain is the absolute worst.
which I think is a little over. Again, I think is a little overly dramatic. Even like some war veterans would probably roll their eyes at this, being like, "Come on,
Jesus Christ,
come on,
grow
dude."
some balls."
Yeah, he's like, "I was a soldier, now I have to kill everyone, everything." And also, you guys see in the trailer what this guy looks like. That's apparently what humans evolve into. And
He used to be human, and that's what he turns into. What?
How did you gain this? And how did you gain this like life-sucking power? How did you breed this far? How did you develop this technology? All these questions completely unanswered.
He looks like Apocalypse with more ridges.
You could say, well, actually, yeah, he does. You could say that it's an alien race, and I would buy that. But to say that this all started from humans, to me, is kind of ridiculous.
And by Star Trek standards, that is actually saying a little bit.
Yeah.
But again, the good stuff in this, I think, is really good. The action's a lot of fun.
It's worth checking out.
The characters are fun. The dialogue, it does what it needs. It does what it needs to be done, and there were some parts that are funny. I basically just gave them the outline of the Uhura necklace.
Oh yeah,
that actually does get a really good payoff.
That was pretty good.
But yeah, by far the most fun you're gonna have during this summer until Suicide Squad comes out.
Hopefully, don't jinx it.
Yeah, I don't know what's gonna be coming out next weekend, or since we're viewing this on a Sunday, this upcoming weekend, but I'm gonna be gone because I'm gonna be in Missouri with a buddy of mine. I'm gonna be a best man at a wedding.
Nice.
Dum. But yeah, I think there might be like 1 or 2 big releases, but they aren't coming to my mind. So yeah, hopefully our next one will be Suicide Squad. But as of right now, this is the best movie of the summer so far.
Wait, did Hardcore Henry come out this year?
Yes, but that was back in either March or April.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that only counts as spring.
All right. Well,
spring/winter, whatever.
That might be, honestly, I think that might be one of the best movies I've seen this year.
I thought that gimmick. I just hated the POV gimmick.
Oh, I think you give it a chance. You'll probably like it.
Okay.
Well, that's all we got for you now.
Go see this, please. Go see it. Even if you haven't seen the other two, go see it. It's fun.
Yep.
Support this, not Ghostbusters or Mike and Dave. Because fuck
both of those movies.
Ghostbusters, Mike and Dave, fuck them. But this, Star Trek, yay.
Take care.